Okay, so I've been tasked with narrating our group project. This is group project for class Anthropology 4930. So let's see. Our first question is, what trends do our data contain? And number one, the most notable is the fact that many of our assemblages now have additional functions. Instead of performing only their initial function, these assemblages can do so much more. For example, the iPhone can not only be used as a camera, but it can also be used to make calls, download apps, text, and play music. Another large trend we saw was that these assemblages have become much more efficient and convenient, which can be due to the changes in their design. Less parts are needed now to conduct a greater amount of work. Lastly, multiple assemblages also seem to become more complex, especially in their coding. The Nintendo 3DS can now connect to the internet, allow you to make purchases. Netflix has replaced the use of DVDs with a service entirely reliant on computer coding, and iOS used by the iPhones has slowly become more advanced to adhere to users' needs, as you can see with our graph on slide 2. And then, what do these trends say about society and culture? Our group found that these trends say that society and culture are getting much more complex and advanced as time goes on. You can see this all in the timeline that we have displayed on slide 3. For example, all this assemblages that we chose either have like additional functions or they have increased technological abilities. The next question is, what social process does this indicate? In other words, what is changing us? What are we becoming? So our progression from older assemblages versus our more modern assemblages indicate that us humans yearn for more powerful and efficient technology in a world where most are dependent on some form of technology. Socially, we want easier and faster ways to contact people, as well as obtain a higher social status in everyday life. Having the more up-to-date technology typically shows like financial status of a person and also so socioeconomic status, financial, also kind of like where they fit socially too. Everyone wants the newest technology in order to be in the loop, to be accepted, to be seen as a part of kind of like the up-to-date majority, to be on the forefront of things. Modern technology is changing us in a sense of us becoming less socially available, and we're also becoming more and more dependent on our phones, on our computers, our iPads, just really all the different ways that technology has been incorporated into our lives for entertainment in order to function on a daily basis. Moving on to slide 5, what oddities stick out and why? One notable oddity that sticks out while analyzing our trends is that we found that our data is revealed the complexity of the coding that goes on with these devices that keep advancing. So the software underlying the actual physical hardware of the technology we're employing. While our trends show that there is an increase in the complexity of the coding of the more modern assemblages, this is noteworthy because as additional functions are added, this adds more coding which needs to be addressed. Thus, as our assemblages develop technologically as means to make our lives more simple and efficient, they become more complex in nature and harder to govern. An additional oddity found that goes along with the complex coding of our modern assemblages is the change of design, the size, over time. And so, let's see, our data shows that the change in designs is the 4th largest trend found, along with some evidence of a decrease in the sizes of the modern assemblages as well, when compared to the older assemblages and models. This sticks out because altogether the change in the design and size experienced from older to modern assemblages indicates that assemblages are striving to become more physically and aesthetically efficient as well as functional. Moving on to the 6th slide. What problems did you all encounter in doing this research? Do you think our assemblage ontology needs to be shifted or improved? In doing our research, it was really challenging to classify and describe the trends in our data. Some assemblages encountered similar changes in their composition, so it was necessary to classify some as the same and some as different through their transformation. This is also why identifying oddities within the data came with its own set of difficulties. If we're using Deleuze's definition of an assemblage, which is characterized by relations of exteriority, and then also our assemblage ontology needs to be shifted only slightly. According to relations of exteriority, a component part of an assemblage may be detached from it and attached to another, but it must interact differently. Thinking of our assemblages, for example, most have charging cables that would do the same function if connected to a different device, if the adapter fits. And the coding of one may create the same system on another. However, the components of our assemblages do not necessarily have like obligatory relationships with one another. That is, they do not all need to be interacting in the same manner in order to do work with their capabilities. So that's the end of our presentation. Thanks for following along. Thank you.